B27.
Madam Speaker, on 30th November 2017, the High Court of Karnataka issued an interim order to refrain the New Mangalore port from providing any clearance to the vessel Pacific Diamond to leave the port in the event that the vessel had been loaded with a cargo of the STC. The STC and myself were informed of the court's order on Friday 1st, December 2017, and the case was subsequently to be taken up only on 11 December 2017. The Pacific Diamond was scheduled to leave Mangalore port on 2nd or 3rd December 2017 and to arrive in Mauritius on 9 or 10 December 2017 with 40,900 metric tons of white petroleum products, that is 9,900 metric tons of mogas, 12,500 metric tons of gas oil, and 18,500 metric tons of jet A1. In such circumstances, we had to act urgently to procure, on an emergency basis, petroleum products to prevent any stock rupture, as we usually have only a few days' stock before arrival of a new consignment. I informed the Deputy Prime Minister, who was acting Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister, who was on mission overseas. We held consultations on the way forward. Accordingly, during the week of 2nd and 3rd December 2017, the highest authorities of friendly countries which would be able to supply us immediately with these products and to also secure vessels for their transportation were approached. Following their responses, it was found that only Seychelles and Saudi Arabia could supply these products and the associated transportation within the limited time frame as required by us. I therefore instructed the STC to contact the Seychelles Petroleum Corporation, SEPEC, and the Saudi Aramco Products Trading Company, that is the Saudi Aramco, two government entities for the supply of mogas, gas oil, and jet A1. A first consignment of 1,200 metric tons of mogas was procured from SEPEC on a CIF basis. The empty Seychelles Paradise arrived at Port Louis on 9 December 2017 with this cargo, which is equivalent to some 3 days of consumption. As for Saudi Aramco, STC received two consignments from the company on a CIF basis as follows. Firstly, a consignment of 10,997 metric tons of mogas transported by FS Sincerity, which arrived at Port Louis on 14 December 2017. And secondly, a consignment of 13,596 metric tons of gas oil, 10 ppm, and 19,987 metric tons of jet A1 transported by MT Ardmore Sea Lion, which arrived at Port Louis on 17 December 2017. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part B of the question, I am not in a position to release the cost of these products in view of their strategic nature, and also, as these are commercially sensitive information, any disclosure of which may cause serious prejudice to third parties with whom the supplier is engaged. However, I wish to reassure the House that in the given circumstances, the prices paid by the STC are fair and reasonable. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that when the case was taken up on 11 December, the Court modified the interim order to allow shipment of consignments of petroleum products from New Mangalore Port to Mauritius.
Although the Honourable Minister could not give a breakdown of costs, since there are two suppliers, one from Seychelles and one from Saudi Arabia, are there any differences in the prices, in the breakdown of costs from those different suppliers? Because we recall that there has been a recent petroleum products price increase in Mauritius, if I may recall, in December or January. Is this a reason?
No, Madam Speaker, in fact, the price of mogas and gas oil, which happened in December 21st, if I'm not mistaken, were due mainly to the rise in price on the world market. And I can inform the House that, in fact, for the year 2017, November and December had witnessed the highest rise in prices, and that was the main reason for the increase. And no, the price between the two suppliers.
Honorable Ameer Meea, I have drawn your attention several times to the fact that if you've got a question, you stand up and ask a question. Don't interrupt honorable ministers when they are replying to your question. Yes, please proceed, Honorable Gungah.
Honorable Minister, petrol is sold on the world market price, Brent or whatever. You say that is a security implication in that I don't know what is. But surely the freight that was paid, the enormous amount of freight which I understand was paid, that surely you can tell us what were the freight that was paid for the 2, 3, 4 shipments from Seychelles and from Saudi Arabia.
Speaker, the cost included the freight. I don't have a breakdown, that is the cost of the project and the freight itself. But as I said, the prices that we paid, and as asked by Honorable Ameer Meea, is comparable even for Saudi Aramco, CPEC, and what STC normally pays to MRPL.
Saudi Aramco, all these are petrol companies. We want to know how much has the taxpayer and the consumer paid for the freight. Just give us, circulate it later, the freight element for these shipments, please.
Speaker, as I said, the sum was paid is on CIF basis, so I don't have the breakdown.
Shakeel Mohamed first.
Speaker, contracts were entered into between the STC and the companies Seychelles and Saudi Aramco. None of those contracts contain any clause that would entitle government not to give out that information. There is no clause with regards to security issues as referred to by the minister. So therefore, on what basis, in the absence of such a contractual provision, is the minister refraining from giving the answer and continuing in the systematic policy of government of hiding answers and lack of transparency?
Madam Speaker, we are not hiding any answers, any figures. Madam Speaker, at the time when we faced such a problem, it wasn't a moment of negotiating contracts and all. We had to procure petroleum products for Mauritius on an emergency basis. And I can say that most of the discussions were held on phone, and I can't say to the House what were the discussions, what were the arrangements that were made on the phone.
Last question, Honorable Adrien Duval.
The standard procurement procedures, given the urgency of how you had to procure the petrol products, did not apply. Why is it then that it is the Honorable Sudan who went to Saudi Arabia to negotiate, and not someone from the STC, or not even yourself as minister? Why is it that you have that government has mandated the Honorable Sudan, and that you are now refusing to give the prices?
I think there really has been some misunderstanding within some members of the opposition. Madam Speaker, Honorable Sudan was already in Saudi Arabia at the moment when the embargo was set on the ship, and since he was there, so it was an opportunity for the government, as a patriot, Madam Speaker, he was there to help the country.
Last question, Honorable Ameer Meea. I grant you.
Thank you, Madam. Recently there was a shortage of fuel products in filling station. I think three weeks back. I myself had this bad luck of going to a filling station, usual one, and couldn't get any fuel. Can I ask the Honourable Minister if he can explain to the House what happened and what measures has been taken so that this does not repeat, and also in relation to the quality?
Honourable Ameer Meea, you already know that supplementary questions are meant to elucidate on the main question. So your supplementary question has nothing to do with the main question.